Hi everybody, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading video for the week beginning Monday, August the 19th through to Sunday, the 25th of August 2019. So let's start shuffling and see what messages the angels have to tell us. It can help us make good decisions, help us face whatever we're facing, and to really guide us on our life's journey. So the first card is pleasure. Now, I love this message because it is something that we forget about. When we're kids, pleasure is our main driver. It leads us to eat all the foods that we want and none of the things that we're supposed to eat. And it drives us to choose play over chores. I'm not saying these are necessarily the right choices when you're a child, but that's where our motivations are. And at some point, we grow up and we start prioritizing obligation, duty, caring for other people. And again, those things are not bad, but the balance is out because we need to have both. Pleasure means we connect to that beautiful passion energy. It helps lighten the energy around us. It helps us feel more calm. It helps us be in the moment. And it just helps us enjoy our lives. So many of us have forgotten to enjoy their lives because they feel like they have to endure it. So this is a lovely message to come back to joy and the things that make you happy. Obviously, we can't stay happy all the time, but we need to be consciously choosing to do activities that make us feel happy. And that might be something as simple as Skyping a friend in another country who makes you happy, or even if they don't make you happy, but you enjoy that connection. Or it might be, choosing to go to a yoga class, which you hardly ever get to, or choose to have a hot chocolate or something like that. It doesn't have to be a full day at the spa, or something really luxurious or involve spending a lot of money. It can be something really simple. It's something that says to the universe, I know I deserve this, and I'm going to treat myself the way I want other people to treat me, and I'm going to act in ways that reinforce that I know my value. Because if you're not willing to invest in your own happiness, then it'll be very difficult to attract people who will do the same, and experiences that see you treated that way. So I'm shuffling now for Tuesday. A card just jumped out there. I love it when that happens. Laughter. Now, when I first got this particular card deck, I thought this seemed a little bit too simplistic. And I suppose it kind of is, but the card is really echoing that previous day's card, and it's asking us to lighten up a bit. We do take life too seriously, and it's not that you shouldn't. I hate using the word should, but I'm using it here for dramatic purposes. It's just that we need to strive for some balance. So what can we do that's going to help us relax a bit more and enjoy our lives a bit better? See the lighter side, be a bit silly. Maybe it's watching a comedy show on YouTube, or a funny movie or something like that. Maybe it's choosing to see the humor in your situation. That can be really cathartic. And maybe it could be, I'm getting the word social come through. So if you can choose to do this with your favourite humans, or people, in your social circle, maybe that will help, because I don't know what it is, but when you're laughing at something around other people and they're laughing too, it just kind of magnifies those feel-good vibes. So I do get the sense that this is sort of asking you to connect with other people through laughter. I know it sounds, again, oversimplistic, but through enjoyable, light-hearted activities, as opposed to, completing chores. So I use the word chores, and I know that makes you think of cleaning. Well, that's what it makes me think of, but it's not necessarily that. It's also like, catching up on, life admin. Let's not think about that, it's boring. Wednesday, indigo. So this card always matches the walls of my property here. This is a rental house. I did not choose this colour. It's kind of lavender walls. I quite like it, but it can be a bit much sometimes. Anyway, that was a sidebar. So indigo, in a spiritual sense, is the word that denotes people who are highly sensitive. So they have a deep connection to the divine. They can really pick up on other people's energy, which means they are more susceptible to catching other people's moods and other people's negative energy. Very sensitive to toxicity in terms of anything from food to chemical toxins to emotional toxins like negative people. They're different, and I don't like to put it that way because I think we're all different. But there is this idea of the mainstream, and then there's the outliers, and they are people who they might have social behaviour challenges. They might have focus problems. They don't fit into a box. In my case is really that none of us do, but some of us are taught to adapt. This card is really speaking to the people who are well outside of that. Again, this word normal I hate. Outside the mainstream. Let me just put it that way. You guys know what I'm talking about, even though I'm not expressing it particularly well here. So in kids, it's easy to spot because they're in school, and school is designed to keep people, to make people the same, with some exceptions, obviously, but it doesn't really focus on individuality. So if you have a child or a child in your life, it might not be your own, who is struggling to fit in, it might be because they're an indigo. Use your judgment with this. Kids, particularly up to the age of about 7, are really highly intuitive. They are easily able to connect with the divine, to talk to angels and spirit guides that we call imaginary friends. Are they? I think not. So up to a certain point, all kids would technically fit into this category, but the card is speaking to their sensitivity to other people, to the environment. So if you know a kid like this, they need special attention from you. They need to be encouraged to be who they are, not to be forced to try and fit into someone else's mold. Now, this obviously occurs in adults as well. We don't grow out of it. We don't grow out of, being outliers. And so if that applies to you, you're in the right place, because it applies to me as well, although I have some of the social behaviour elements, but certainly not to the extent that would be determined by some indigo experts. But, it took me a long time to embrace my individuality, because as a safety mechanism, I have been trained, or I have, programming to must fit in, must not stand out, must not be weird. And at some point I had to move away from that to do what I'm here to do, which is to share these messages with you guys, to help people heal through my energy healing, and to use my communication skills to transmit the messages up here into digestible language, which I don't always nail, let's be honest. But obviously on my blog, I write a lot of articles that help people with things they might be struggling with from a spiritual perspective, all my own opinions, obviously. But that's part of my life purpose. And I couldn't do that if I was still in the spiritual closet. So you have to come out at some point and be who you really are, because being authentic means, even if you're not entirely comfortable with who you are, not trying to pretend to be something you're not, in terms of, pretending to be cool or pretending to be like everybody else, with right down to the house and the white picket fence type ideal, or whatever it is that's so dominant in your part of the world, that sort of culture. So I've gone off on a massive tangent here, but the underlying message here is to embrace your authenticity. Do not try to pretend to be something you're not. Do not try to fit in, and be okay with being different. And as I said, it might apply to a kid. And if so, help them to be comfortable with that as much as you can. It's something that comes with, for me, it's something that came with time, and a certain level of work in terms of, feeling safe. Because if you don't feel safe to be in the world, you're not going to feel safe to be yourself, because you're constantly on guard. Anyway, before I go off on another tangent, remember how I said I was good at communicating? Yeah. Let's go to Thursday now. This card deck has the names of various angels. This card features Aurora, and there's a picture of an angel, for those who can't see it very well, angel flying out of a building. And I'm going to read the wording to you, and then let me give you my take on it. You are flying high right now, which may threaten others, but don't descend, because others will soon become inspired by your example. So it's really building on what I just said about being different and being who you are. Make sure you're not trying to bring yourself down to other people's level. Now, when I say bring yourself down, I don't mean that you're better than everybody else. It's not a competition. We're all different. There's no superiority here. And I know there are some kind of facets of spirituality where people might try to push the idea that spiritual people are more evolved and more, superior in some way. I don't subscribe to that. So when we're talking about rising above, it does tend to imply some sort of superiority there, or some sort of ranking, and I'm not down with that. So when I say you're flying high, I'm talking about a trajectory in terms of you compared with the person you used to be. That's the comparison. It's the only comparison that matters. So it does talk about the fact that the way you might go off track is when you are distracted by what other people think of you. You're worried about their judgment. They might try to shame you. You don't want to lose these particular relationships. You don't want to, you're maybe not fully ready to let go of the identity you used to have, or the narrative you used to tell about yourself. But when you are being who you are and reaching for the things that you want to reach for, you inspire everybody else to do the same. And that is why there's that saying, the work you do on yourself is the work you do on the world. You might not be, actively trying to say to people, this is what you should do, and I definitely don't think that's a good idea, because no one's an expert. But by living your truth, it really gives other people permission to do the same, because they don't have to follow your example, but they do need to listen to their own heart and do what's right for them. And you change the energy around yourself when you're doing that. And people do feel that, even if they might not necessarily be able to put their finger on exactly what's going on. Let's go to Friday now, and shuffling the cards. Hello from heaven. This is a delicate one. So if you are grieving someone, it may be a recent loss, it may be a historic one. If you have sensed the presence of someone around you who has passed on, this card confirms that they are around you. And the truth is that no one ever really leaves. So the energy remains. And so you could say all the people you've lost are around you right now, but the card really is being quite specific to someone or some people that have been on your mind recently. And maybe they've been on your mind recently because you've dreamed about them, they've visited you in dreams, or you've sort of sensed them around in some way. Perhaps you heard their favourite song, or smelt their fragrance, or something like that. Yeah, obviously use your judgment with this, because it's very personal. And I know this can be upsetting for some people, because it does bring up those feelings of loss, and I certainly don't want to upset anybody. It's a positive, uplifting message. It's not supposed to be a sad one about the loss. It's supposed to remind you, hello, I'm still here with you, and I'm okay. And so if you haven't lost anyone who's particularly dear to you, or you have, but they're not really on your mind, it just doesn't resonate with you for some reason, the card could be saying, it could be reminding you to connect with not necessarily people on the other side, but your spirit team, your angels, just letting you know that you're not alone. That is, actually, I'm just getting a ding, ding, ding around that. You are not alone. That's what I need to tell you mostly about this card. We all feel alone at various points, and particularly if you are in this category of the indigo, or the outlier, the rebel, the non-disruptive rebel, of course, although you can certainly disrupt if that's what you feel your life purpose is. We're never alone, because we've always got our guardian angels, our spirit team, and all these other ascended masters, archangels. We're so loved and we're so supported. We just can't see it, because we are trained to see people in flesh and bone type form. Whereas, as I mentioned, when you're young, you see all energy. So it's not till you get older and you get taught that you can that's not real, or whatever stories you were told about that. So yeah, the message is to know that you've got this divine support, to tune into it more, however you want to do that, and just to be really reassured by that. And obviously, if you want help from your angels, from your spirit guides, you do need to ask for it. I said obviously, but maybe it's not obvious to you. Because of the law of free will, you're in charge of your life. The angels, spirit guides, the universe, no one can intervene in your life without your permission. So you do need to ask for help, unless your life is in danger and it's not your time to pass. So that is the exception. But other than that, if you want help, you're struggling, ask. And even if you don't really know what you want, you just need to talk to someone. I do this all the time. I just say, oh, I'm finding this really tough. I don't say, please help me, because I don't really know what I need. I just share it. And sometimes I do this in a journal where I address it like a letter. Dear angels, dear spirit guide, whoever, dear universe, I'm really struggling with this situation. I don't know what to do. I feel this, this, and this. I feel that no one understands me. Please help. And so sometimes I just say, thank you for listening, or I'm giving this over to you, because that is a way of me getting it out of my sort of burdens and sort of off my shoulders a bit more. I feel like I'm passing it over a bit. Anyway, let's move on to Saturday, because I could talk all day about how helpful that could be. Saturday, holy heck. This is eye salt, and the message is undying love. This is the grief card. So, gosh, they're so unsubtle sometimes. And there are a lot of different ways this can show up for people. It often shows up for people to let them know that the love they have for someone who's passed on still remains. I've said this many times and I'll say it again. Death ends a life, it doesn't end a relationship. So that can be really helpful and really reassuring for people who are grieving for someone. But it's also letting you know that you're going to be okay. And please, no one's going to tell you, well, hopefully, no one is going to tell you that this is an easy time if you are grieving someone, particularly if it's quite recent and quite raw. So that's not the message to, get over it, or, time heals. I hate that maxim. Because I feel like it ignores the reality of the pain that you're in right now. Instead, what it's telling you is you've got a lot of help around you, and this person is around you. If that's comforting to you, maybe it won't be, but just try to hold space for hope, even though you can't see it right now. What else do I need to tell you about this? I mean, eye salt, she's surrounded by flowers here. I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. So she is associated with gardens and with nature. So there may be a message here for some of you about needing to get outside in nature, which, as we know, is a great healer, and maybe that will help you connect a bit better. Sunday. Oh yes. I just thought for a minute I didn't have enough card decks out, but I do. Sunday. Perfect timing. So there's a couple of ways to look at this. If you're familiar with the concept of divine timing, which essentially means everything happens in the order it needs to and at the time it needs to. So there could be a message here for you to try and be patient, and to know that just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's wrong for you. It just means it maybe hasn't been the right time. And the other message here, which is a very Mars kind of message for those of you who are into astrology, there's a real push to get going. It's a motivation card. This is the time to get going. Start now. You don't have to have the whole thing mapped out. In fact, I think it's better if you don't, but take one step forward. The energy, that sort of gives the universe something to attach energy to help support you. And then the next door will open and you'll get a bit of a steer on where to go from there. So, but please start. Please stop procrastinating. Please just get started. It doesn't matter if you're scared. Step forward anyway. We're all scared. That's the truth. We're all just pretending we're not. I get nervous every time I do these videos, and I've been doing them for, I think, more than 2 years now. So there's fear all the time. And I choose to say, well, there it is, and I'm going ahead anyway, and I will just let things play out the way they need to, and I know I'll be okay no matter what happens. Now, I just mentioned procrastination, and I should give you a bit more information on that. Procrastination is fear in disguise. We like to think it's because we're lazy or we've got no willpower. That's not true at all. And I think a lot of psychologists would back me up on this. I did a story about it once, and a psychologist told me, and I don't know if this is just her opinion or whether this is conventional practice, but the belief she was saying is it doesn't mean you're lazy if you're procrastinating. It means you're trying to avoid something, and there could be a lot of reasons why. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of succeeding because then you're going to need to be exposed in some way, or to back it up, or to do the next thing, or you risk being judged, or, I mean, there are all sorts of reasons. So really sit on that and think, if I'm procrastinating, I mean, maybe you just don't want to do it full stop. Maybe you actually really do, but you are scared of effing it up. Could be lots of reasons, but do not fall into the trap of thinking it's because you're lazy or you're just not good enough. That is the ego's great lie. So we have messages around grief have come through this week, and again, it's not meant to make you feel sad. I know you probably will because you're human, and you know we're full of big emotions, but it's designed to carry some comfort as well. It's not supposed to make you feel sad, and it's okay if you do. It's just more about knowing that here's some reassurance and that you have all this love and support with you. And this message about pleasure is quite strong as well, and also about being authentic and being okay with being different. Don't try to fit in. It's a trap, and it will not make you as happy as you think it will, although it might make you feel a little bit safer, but you'll never be comfortable. And faking being something you're not, it would be exhausting, I would imagine. So that's it for the week. I put every card on my social media each day. I'm in Australia on the eastern seaboard, so they go up around 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. my time, which I think is around 4 p.m. in New York the previous day. And I also put them on my Facebook. So my Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel. My Facebook page is called One Grounded Angel. It's completely open. Anyone can come check it out. I sometimes post articles on there as well of things that I think you might be interested in. And also you can reach me through my blog, www.onegroundedangel.com, and there's a few different articles on there as well as more information about the services I offer in terms of personal angel card readings and energy healings, and a combination of both because they're very complementary. The angel cards are a tool for identifying where we're blocked. The energy healing helps us clear those blocks and give us the energy to support to really move forward. And since I talked about procrastination, I will say it is excellent for helping you with your goals as well. If you're getting stuck or struggling to get started, energy healing is something that can definitely assist with that. So yeah, look that up if you're interested. Thank you very much, and I will be back here each week to read for you, and please let me know if you have any questions. Take care.